Welcome back to our WrestleMania World Tour, where today we have not one, but two regions to get through. The old APAC North regions of South Korea and Japan are seeing a bit of a resurgence, with some of the older teams finding their footing again and newer teams stamping their name in the history books. It's nice to see APAC finally have some hope again, even if it is fleeting compared to the rest of the world. Now, South Korea is where the main meat of this video is going to be, because there is going to be a lot to talk about in regards to this roster shuffle. Some of it good, some of it not so good. Kicking off the South Korean portion of our tour, we have PSG Talent. After nearly making the main stage in Manchester, these guys are looking to build on that momentum going into stage 2. And to help with that, they pulled former D+ player Yas out of retirement and brought Goldie in, as well as Rumatek as the team sub, but at the expense of JLT and Roy Boy. Seeing Yas back in the server should definitely perk up fans of South Korean Siege, and it has been confirmed that he is going to be Talon's new IGL, so his shot calling is going to be pivotal to this new lineup. Having fallen somewhat out of favor following their meteoric rise in 2021, D+ have not been able to recapture that same spark that got them to stardom all those years ago. This might be down to 3 of those 5 players leaving the team for various reasons, forcing D+ to be in a perpetual state of rebuild. And now they're starting again, with Damali and Sayori departing the team and JLT coming in to take their place, alongside Midi as the team's new coach. I can't 100% confirm whether this is permanent or not, but Envy Taylor has gone back onto the starting roster after being D+'s coach for Stage 1. This org, once again, is in a state of flux. I don't know if this is the right move to get them out of it. On the flip side of D+ is Fear X, and that's more literal than you think. For a long time, it was just these two duking out for the crown of South Korea. But while D+ is slipping, Fear X is rising. Don't forget, this is the same team that knocked out G2 from Manchester during the play-in phase. Only the one move to speak of for these Foxes, and that is Nova transferring to an analyst role for Stage 2, and Jax coming over from Europe to take his place. This is a bit of a strange one, although this is not the strangest move to come out of South Korea. Jax is not a bad player, but this seems like a risk to move to a completely new region and either learn a new language from scratch or force your teammates to learn your language. And while that has worked in the past, a la Mag with Fnatic back in 2022, I'm not 100% sure it's worth the investment. Speaking of head-scratching moves, we come to MIR Gaming, who seem to be doubling down on the European import idea. Honey and Leaderman have departed the team in order for Sloth and Blur to come in. Not only that, but Wafer and Cooley have also joined the team as coach and analyst. So just to recap here, on a South Korean team, we have 3 Brits, one of which is part of the support staff, and a bloke from Costa Rica who is their coach. Is anyone else as confused as I am right now? To be clear, this is not me saying they have bad pickups by any means. Blur is a world champion for a reason, for God's sake. But with the talent bringing in South Korean Tier 2, it strikes me as weird that they wouldn't delve into that pool and talent and harness some of that for their own benefit. There may be something to MIR turning to European talent, but right now, I'm not seeing it. Keeping with the theme of strange roster moves, before and after are the latest team to attempt a 6-player roster for their squad. Hannah, Jukmani, and Cheongam are out, with Roland, KTM, Damali, and Katsang all in. Damali and Katsang are both solid players, while Roland and KTH seem to be unknown in terms of their respective careers. It's possible they just haven't had a substantial presence in competitive Siege until now. In any case, B&A signing a 6-man roster seems rather weird, given previous attempts in other regions. But I have a sneaking suspicion that maybe something going on under the surface, and this is an extended audition for the 2 rookies in KTH and Roland. Or I could just be talking out of my ass and have no idea what's really going on. Both are valid. But they are not the only team in SK to have a 6-man squad. That honor falls to Blossom, who just nuked their entire roster and support staff. The only person to survive that apocalyptic destruction was at IGL in Crown. Like with BNA, this seems to be an extended audition to remain in the team moving forward, but with far less stability. None of their new players have any experience with the top flight of competition whatsoever. This is effectively a team of brand spanking new rookies. As much as I hate to say this, they're going to look like easy pickings for the rest of the league. This is going to be a very long stage for these guys. One of the bigger pieces of news to come out of South Korea, Beyond Stratos Gaming have pulled out of Rainbow Six, leaving their former team without an org to back them for the time being. But they have mostly decided to stick together, so they're going under the orgless KR moniker for at least Stage 2. Let's hope these guys can find themselves a new home sooner as opposed to later. And the last little bit of South Korean trade news comes courtesy of WEBL. And after a brief stint with the team for the Esports World Cup, KTH have parted ways with the team, and Moon comes in to take his place. Finally getting his call up to the big time, Moon seems to be a capable player, even if he did spend the entirety of 2023 and most of 2024 away from the server. Best of luck in your debut stage, Moon. Moving south towards the land of the rising sun, Japan was actually pretty quiet this trade period. Not a lot to speak about aside from a couple of curious moves. So let's dive in, shall we? Kicking off with Crest Gaming, we have the departure of Vport and the retirement of their coach Often. Not much to speak on Vport for the moment, but the big piece of news comes in the form of Rento coming in to take his place after a year on the sidelines, and former Bleed analyst Bruce's filling the coaching role for Crest. After 18 months with Bleed, seeing Bruce's take that next step in his career is going to be huge for this guy, and I have no doubt he can lead this team well. Like with Crest, Kinotrope Gaming didn't make any significant moves over the trade period, only a coach swap and the inclusion of a new analyst. Jerry Swindon has parted ways with the team after a year with Varel and Kinotrope, and there is no word as of yet on his future. Liddell and Kaipan have made the trip over from Brazil to lead the team as coach and analyst respectively. Not a hell of a lot on Kaipan, but Liddell actually spent a little time in MENA as the coach of Onyx Ravens, who actually got second place in Stage 1. So there's definitely potential for Kinotrope to move up the rankings under Liddell's stewardship. A team I don't have as much faith in is Vitae, who along with 2 roster swaps are going to be without a coach for Stage 2. Departing the team are Akasu, Kirk1, and their former coach in TB. Kirk1 was with the team back when it was under the System Esports moniker, so his absence is going to be missed. Not much to speak on about Akasu's departure, but the fact that Vitae have not gotten a new coach is rather telling in my opinion. Their new pickups in Mera and Tosung are interesting, but for different reasons. From what I can tell, this is going to be Mera's debut stage at the top of competitive Siege after a year of slugging it out in the lower leagues, and he's had some solid, if not unremarkable, results. Tosung, on the other hand, I couldn't find anything on him. Like, at all. No domestic results, nothing. This has me both intrigued and concerned for Vitae. With no coach to guide these new rookies, I don't think it's going to go well for this team at this stage. Until they can find someone to support them, they're kind of winging it at the moment. Enter Force 36 is probably the biggest team to talk about in terms of this roster shuffle because they had a lot go on. Firstly, the retirement of Sky after a 4-year career with the team. Not much to speak on in terms of results, but he is leaving on his own terms, and that's all anyone can really ask for. Second is the departure of Hasu after a 4-year stay with EF36, and with no word on what's next for him, it could be a while before we see him back on the server. Thirdly, Window has been moved from player to assistant coach after 18 months with the team. While an extended support staff is never a bad thing, I'm not sure it should come at the cost of a player. Despite his tenure with Reject before joining EF36, I don't know if Window has the chops to pull it off. And finally, we have the raft of new players coming in to fill the void. Sylvia, Akasu, and Yamada. Akasu we spoke about already with Vitae. Sylvia was part of Northampton this time last year, but was forced to spend some time on the side after the team disbanded late last year. And Yamada seems to be another debutant for this stage, as of once again, I can't find anything on him. Enter Force 36 are making moves this stage, but could that mean a rise up in the rankings? We'll see. And finally, we have Father's Back. God, they really got to find a new name. Not much to report on for these guys, except for trading Apple for Vport from Crest, and the arrival of Tadaniki as their new coach. The former Reject player is taking a chance with a new team in a new role after a year and a half away from the scene due to retirement. so it'll be interesting to see what he can do after his extended break. Vipul coming over from Crest in place of Apple doesn't seem to make a lot of sense on paper, especially with Apple spending nearly 8 years with the team in various roles, including as a streamer for 4.5 years, and finally getting a second chance in Stage 1, only to be dropped 3 or 4 months later. Just seems a bit ruthless to me. And with that, we are done with South Korea and Japan for our Rostermania World Tour. Join me for one last whirlwind blast with the semi-closed leagues of Asia, LATAM, Oceania, and MENA. Until then, this is Resident Silverwolf, signing out.